Hi, I'm Jake, and today our team is wrapping up the three-part video series on how to play the new Tau Codex in 9th edition. If you're new to the channel, what I do here is primarily cover competitive 40k content, and I also host fun and informative battle reports. If this kind of content interests you, you can stay up to date by staying subscribed, which greatly helps the growth of our channel. I should mention we have a lot of cool new ways you can further support the channel if you like, such as picking up your own set of Black Rabbit dice or a 40k objective markers, where all the proceeds go towards making more high quality content like the one you're watching today. Today will be the last segment of the three-part video series where we will discuss the go-to Warlord traits, Septs, Relics, and stratagem combinations so you can quickly master your very own Tau army. So whether you're a returning Tau player, new Tau player, or just curious to how to fight this new codex, since the Cherokee Open Tournament is coming up soon in North Carolina, hoping everybody will be as prepared as they can be after watching this. And what this three-part series will do is going to help you best understand what the new codex is all about. Wrapping up the series, we've got our channel team, Mike, aka the Engineer, and Lio, who are not only amazing Tau technicians, but also have been longtime collectors of the Tau faction.
Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you for joining us for part 3 of this video. If you're just jumping straight into this, maybe go back and check the other videos where we went ahead and we covered the general overview of the goods and the bads of this army. And in part 2, we kind of picked out our favorite choices for best units to possibly pick. So now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of why you're picking those and how you're best going to use them.
So when we look at Tau, you have two tactical philosophies to pick from, right? Mm-hmm. You have Moloch, which favors a turn 1 through 3 aggressive push, get in their face, get business handled. Or Kalyan, want to survive turn 1 and 2, and you're going to do everything you're going to do in turn 3, 4, 5. So you're hiding, you're surviving, you're being patient. It's almost like it's the patient hunter.
Wow. Well, sign me up for the killing blow as much as possible.
Oh yeah, yeah. We're rushing, we're killing, we're getting it done.
So the definite theme, in my opinion, of the best way to play this army is you got to go Cobra Kai on everybody. Because they're going to strike first, strike hard, no mercy, sweep the leg, put them in a body bag, all that shit. And you just need to abuse the ability of Moloch. And what that is on turns 1 through 3 at ranges 18, 12, and 9.
Correct.
If you target the closest unit to you, you get an additional AP.
As well as reroll 1s to wound.
That's probably better part of it. I would always take that over the bonus AP because everything already has AP out the face in this army.
I'd rather have both.
You can take both.
I'll take both.
And you know what? I'll take both.
Wonderful. So why don't you highlight some of the units you're going to be picking specifically for your army and your play style and how they're going to utilize that Moloch.
That's kind of the tricky thing. While I just talked up Moloch, I think Kalyan does have a place, but not in the aspect of leveraging what the Kalyan rule is, which that's on turns 3, 4, and 5, which competitive player can pretty much tell you by turn 3 the game's pretty much over. So you need to go and hide and try and protect your assets as long as possible to really make this work out. And if you can get me the verbatim on it, just so we know exactly what we're talking about on Kalyan. But what's going to happen is
Kalyan is going to be fall back and shoot, as well as turn 3,
4, 5.
6s to hit, count as an additional hit. Turn 4, 5s to hit, count as an additional hit. And turn 5, 4s to hit, count as an additional hit.
So while that does sound awesome, you might not have left to use it.
As well as the score may have gotten away from you at this point.
Exactly. Now, the thing about taking the patient approach to all this is you have so much more movement shenanigans you can pull based on other Warlord traits or stratagems or different abilities you can have. So while I favor the aggressive approach, I prefer the tactical flexibility to go ahead and protect what I need to play the game, which That'll pretty much come in more in the Warlord Trait selection section, but I'm pretty sure an aggressive Borkhan list is the way to go.
Aggressive Farsight Enclaves.
Which, honestly, these two Septs are the best two in the entire book. There's really only one bad Sept, and to me that's Dalith, and I just don't have a use for the auxiliaries. It's the hardest Sept to try and argue for. You get cover, or you get light cover in the open, and you can use the Sept ability, or I'm sorry, your auxiliary units get the Sept abilities and they can benefit from marker lights, but no, I don't care. I really, that's pretty much garbage bin.
It's the fluffy option.
Yeah.
It's the fluffy option.
We're not here for fluff.
No, competitive.
All right, maybe a little fluff. But, so, to me, in my opinion, the top 4 Septs is Borkhan, Farsight Enclave. I kind of like Sasia over Tau. Now, that leaves Viorla out in the middle of nowhere, which again, they're not bad. I just don't rate them as high as those other 4. And some people might be questioning why I'm rating Tau so low, and that is purely because I don't care about extra range on my auras, because their Sept abilities is +3 inches on their aura abilities and +3 inch range to be able to use the ethereal evocations. And then each unit gets to reroll a free hit or wound every phase or turn.
And Tau's essentially propped up on their special character support, right?
Right.
Dark Strider, Long Strike.
Shadow Sun, but you can take her in any detachment, or in any army rather, so she kind of loses her luster of the pull directly to Tau Sept. I really only see Tau Sept being a pick if you want to run 4 Hammerheads, because that'll help you leverage the damage potential of the re-rolling the hit naturally and then re-rolling the wound to make sure what you're going after is going to die.
Yeah, I could see that. Or I could see Dark Strider babysitting some missile sides.
So you play that Sept to abuse those 2 specific units and use the special characters. Now, Borkhan, which, before I get there, are those pretty much what your top picks are for the Septs?
Borkhan, Enclaves, I'm going to stop there.
Oh, you don't like anybody else?
Nope, those are it.
Man, all right. So, going back up, Sasia, they're probably the best option if you want to still remain defensive, because it allows all of your battle suits and vehicles to be treated as if they have dense cover if they're being targeted more than 18 inches away, and all your infantry get that same benefit from unless they're being shot closer than 12 inches. It's just a good way to try and protect your assets a little longer. The tables are shorter, people will get into that range a little quicker, but you now have the mobility to bounce back and forth and do what you need to do to kind of stay a little bit more safe. So it's just an okay option, not the best. And then their specific stratagem, I believe, is you select a unit, you remove their benefit of dense cover.
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right, you want to highlight those Septs we like now?
I like, yes.
Okay, let's start with Borkhan.
So Borkhan for sure is our top pick. The Sept ability is all your ranged weapons get +4 inches, which that is, on a mid-range army, that's kind of a huge deal. Especially for probably what'll be my, at least, test army of 3 Storm Surges that allows the main gun to be set up exactly on your deployment line and reach out into your opponent's deployment zone, even just a little bit. But every little bit helps.
What's the second part of that Sept ability?
That's really nice. Yeah, the second part of the Sept ability is anytime any of your battle suits or vehicles are being hit by a weapon that is strength 7 or less, it is considered to be 1 less strength. So that's not necessarily a huge deal in a lot of instances, but let's say Strength 5 weapons, heavy bolter spam, is going to hit those storm surges. Now they're wounding on 6s. Now those heavy bolters are wounding crisis suits on 5s. Strength 6 weapons are wounding ghost keels on 5s. Strength 7 weapons are wounding riptides on 5s. It just shifts the math in your favor a pretty considerable amount, because now people need to definitely dedicate anti-tank weapons into your things to make sure that they can actually do what they need to do. On top of that, the stratagem was previewed forever ago. You select a weapon on a unit, that weapon will ignore invulnerable saves.
If you did that on the upgraded main gun of the Storm Surge, that just picks up a knight, right?
Well, yeah, it's pretty much a double shot hammerhead at that point. Even if you need volume of fire, you take the long range shot and you have AP2 damage 4.
Or, as I pointed out earlier, if you're fighting demons and they have a nice big blob of pinks or something equally annoying with that 4-up invul, so okay, I'm going to take my cluster rockets, 4d6 blast, that's 24 shots. You don't get your invul. You can just pick that unit up.
Yeah, and with the prominence of invulnerable saves being passed out to things, taking out the gimmick that people are getting, I'm not going to say is necessarily a cause for feels bads, but you are a direct counter to what people are building for. Farsight Enclave, they're a solid pick as well.
The best.
Then what?
So Farsight Enclaves, they count every enemy unit within 12 as having a marker light. Whether they have one or not, if you're within 12, I'm getting +1 to hit. Period. Then I get to reroll a wound.
That is pretty good. So in typical lore fashion, Farsight Enclave is going to go ahead and be your aggressive crisis suit and battle suit type things that you are constantly... Tiger sharks, I guess. You're going to go ahead and you're going to push into someone's face. You're going to be comfortable being that close, because what you have in there, you're going to kill whatever you have with a significant amount of efficiency. So those are the general overviews of the 3 or 4 Septs that we kind of see as best to pick. Again, just please stay away from Dalith. You can't recommend that one at all. Just don't do it.
All right, guys, now that we've highlighted our top picks for which Septs are the most competitive, let's get into a couple of the standout stratagems in our opinion. And for me, I'm planning on running 3 Devilfish, 30 Fire Warriors. So the number 1 stratagem that stands out to me is Combat Debarkation. For 1 CP, even after my Devilfish with their teams inside have made their pre-game 9-inch move, I'm going to go ahead and, with Moloch specifically, move them another 9 inches. Then the units inside can disembark and do their move. Normally you can't do this, but specifically for the strat, 1 CP, pick 3 Devilfish, they can disembark after they've moved. Specifically a normal move. So if you get tagged in combat, you can't fall back and do it, you can't advance and do it. Normal move only.
And this is specifically while in Mont-Ka, you get to do 3. Otherwise, you get to do 1, correct?
So specifically, Mont-Ka, you get to pick 3. If you picked Cao-Yun, and you can only do it in the first 3 battle rounds. Cao-Yun, round 3, 4, or 5, you get another effect. You can select up to 3 again. And then, yeah, so same effect for Cao-Yun, but turns 3, 4, 5.
It's too late in the game. Devilfish ain't going to be there. So
no.
just use this with Mont-Ka.
So guys, with that math, 9-inch pre-game move, 9-inch move again, disembark and move your 6. You've gone...
Oh, it's not a 9-inch move the next time. It's a 12-inch move.
Oh, it is a 12-inch move. So...
It's a 9-inch pre-game move, then a 12-inch normal move, and then a 3-inch disembarkation, and then a 6-inch move from the unit inside.
So we've got 30 inches of movement. That is safely within your enemy's deployment zone. And then another 30 inches of range on your guns. There is no hiding from this.
No, you're going to... The only downside is after all that movement, you can't charge, which I don't think that's even that big of a downside.
No, no.
It would be nice to be able to tie up your opponent's stuff with the units that get to move all that distance, but I think it's a pretty fair balance that you're a little tuckered out after that point.
What's our next stratagem?
After that, I think drop threat acquisition is a pretty noteworthy stratagem to list. So this is essentially poor man's drop zone clear, which is the Farsight Enclave specific one, which whenever you have a crisis team drop in from the Manta Strike ability, you get to reroll all hits.
Or homing beacon.
Or homing beacon. Well, whenever they come in from it, the homing beacon just allows you to come in a turn earlier.
Correct.
So, yeah, you get to drop down, hopefully have marker lights, you're hitting on 3s re-rolling, or at worst you're hitting on 4s re-rolling with all of your shots, and you just get to go ahead and pick up handfuls of models from this unit that just dropped in. It's 2 CP for a unit of 4 or less crisis units, and for any more than that is 3 CP, which I think that's pretty good value.
So the break point on that, guys, is 4. 1 to 3, 2 CP, 4, 5, 6, 3 CP. Exactly.
Tell me what you think about Relentless Fusillade.
Well, anytime I can get extra AP on a core unit, I'm for it. I'm for it. So this one, guys, you're going to pick a strike team in your shooting phase, and every time that model or that unit shoots, any rapid fire weapons they're equipped with, so their pulse rifles, you're going to get their max shots at max range. So you can get 2 shots apiece at 30 inches, and you get an extra pip of AP for your trouble.
Which again, they're already AP1. This is bumping them to AP2. If you have Mod Ka active and you're shooting closest unit, now you're AP3 pulse rifles at 30 inches on a basic troop unit, essentially.
Well, you'd have to be within 8 inches from Mod Ka.
Well, you're already devilfished up there. You're in there.
Yeah, you're in there. You're in there. Cobra Kai.
So, probably one of the next best stratagems to use for your Fire Warrior teams is called Point Blank Volley. And this just turns whatever weapon you're equipped with, whether it's the shotguns on the breachers or the rifles on the strike team, turns them into pistol 2. So you use this while you're in engagement range of somebody, and you just go ahead and lay into them, which I'm pretty sure right now, as a stock war gear item, they already have pistols, so now you're getting 3 shots in combat per model.
Yeah, yeah.
Granted, the rifles are going to be way better at this, but now this gives you a way that you don't have to waste time falling back, or maybe you're trapped and you don't have to spend the CP to fall back and lose models. You just go ahead, like, I'll exist here for right now, and you try and blast whoever's in there with you.
All right. So the next one that really stands out to me and the playstyle I'm going to be going with is onboard sensors. So I told you I'm taking the 3 Devilfish, 30 Fire Warriors. What this does for me is I'm going to pick one of my Devilfish after I've yeeted it into their deployment zone. And basically every Fire Warrior team within 6 inches of this is now going to have Captain rerolls. They're rerolling once to hit.
So you mean they don't need to be babysat by a character?
They don't.
Why are you breaking the rules?
So the only caveat with that, guys, for the rerolls, you do have to designate 1 enemy unit to be the target.
That's not so bad then. Like if it was just a blanket reroll 1s to hit, that'd be pretty strong just to have that ability off of a command Devilfish essentially. But that's all right. It just helps you burn down 1 unit that you really want dead, which the next stratagem, Coordinated Engagement, really helps out with that. So the way this works is you essentially burn down and dogpile a unit. You take 2 of your units that have line of sight to a specific enemy unit, and they go ahead and they both must target this unit, but when they do so, they get +1 AP. So with all those other things from before, now you have AP4 weapons shooting into something, or at least for one of those units, because you've used Relentless Fusillade on the other one. But that's still AP3 and AP4 shots, 20 shots, 40 shots, just nuking the ever-loving hell out of something. Tell me about Repulsor Impact Field.
Repulsor Impact Field. So those of you that are going to be playing battle suits, which I think that's pretty much everybody.
That's pretty much everybody.
Everybody's going to play some form of battle suit. When your battle suit is selected as a target of a charge, pay, I believe it's 1 CP for this stratagem. 1 CP for this stratagem. And for the rest of the charge phase, anyone that targets this unit for a charge, -2 to their charge distance.
And this is stackable with being in difficult ground. So that's now a -4 charge when they try and go after your crisis team or your stealth team. Or, again, if they make Forge World a little bit more enticing, the hazard suits, they're naturally -2 to charge. So that's a potential -6 to charge a unit. No one's touching you.
Now tell me what happens if our hapless opponent decides to multi-charge a battlesuit unit and a fire warrior unit.
If they don't make it to both, they fail. And they just get stuck with their wang out. And nobody likes that.
So we can assist that with photon grenades, which is another -2 to charge, as well as -1 to hit in combat.
So between these different abilities, terrain features, stratagems, that's a potential -8 to charge, depending on the scenario. But either way, nobody likes being -2. And then when you're compounding that down with other things, it's just a nice way to try and protect yourself. Because
correct.
We don't like getting bad touched. But,
allergic to melee.
Yeah.
Except for Shasso Slappo.
There you go. I don't know why that's a tongue tie for me, but yeah, we decided that if you check out the other video, Shasso Slappo is, we'll cover him a little bit. But that pretty much covers all the stratagems that stuck out to us the most. There's quite a few other good ones in there. Probably the worst one that I'll never touch is the Ion Beam one, which is a pseudo Chapter Master orbital bombardment.
Funnily enough, purely out of spite, in LVO, one of my games, I orbital ion beamed a character off the board.
But why?
Because he was sitting on an objective with 1 wound, and I couldn't stand for that.
What were your Tiger Sharks doing?
Being exploded.
Oh. Yeah, that's bad. So that's the strats. Up next, we're going to go ahead and cover our choices for relics as well as the signature systems. I'm not really impressed with a lot of the relics that we have.
There's a lot of options, but not many great choices.
No. So,
which I kind of think we had the same problem in the previous book, right?
There are definitely better options now than there ever was. But it's still, some of these, it's like, I'll never really take that, which that's kind of every codex, but these for sure, no. But they're still a healthy list, especially including Sept-specific relics. Probably my #1 pick, though, is the Honor Gauntlet. So as some of you might know from the past, or just from zoology, an onager is a donkey, so you'd run around and donkey punch people. But that's exactly what it is. It's a melee relic that, what it currently does is when you attack, I believe you're...
Strength 12.
Strength 12, AP 4, damage 3. And you slap that on a commander, that's 4 attacks hitting on 3s, and you just go to town. Pound town, if you will. Not that pound town. Not that pound town. Maybe that pound town.
Maybe. It's a little better than the previous version, which was 1 attack.
Yeah,
at times 2 strength.
We want to talk about the old gauntlet.
Yeah. Made improvements.
How about Orter's Lantern? How do you feel about that one?
So if you're going to take a character with the marker light keyword, I feel like this is a pretty solid pick. It lets you roll 5 additional dice when you're doing that marker light action. So if you really need to marker light the hell out of something, this is the way you do it.
So basically, you get to roll 6 dice at something. mathematically you're going to apply 4 Marker Light tokens to a specific target. I really only see this being put on a Cadre Fireblade, but...
I could see it getting put on a Firesight Marksman.
I just don't like that unit now, because Firesight Marksmen have to go with the sniper drones now. You can't put more than the 3 that you get in the unit. I would rather just put it on this guy, have him sit there, buff your Fire Warrior line.
Fair. Fair.
But it's also significantly harder to utilize Marker Lights on characters, but this is an okay pick if you really want to just try and toss a bunch of Marker Lights on a single target.
So I'm playing Farsight Enclaves for most of this, I'm assuming. Not really a fan of Ethereals, but why don't you tell me about that Humble Stave?
So, the Humble Stave is actually pretty nifty if you are taking Ethereals. What it ends up doing is it allows you to take an additional evocation to use during the game, and it also makes them pass on a 2-up instead of a 3-up. Now, it doesn't have a melee profile or anything like that, it's just specifically you become Master of Sanctity. And I don't know how many times I've not used the bonus roll, but the passing on a 2-up is pretty clutch. So if you are taking Ethereal, I would probably consider this an auto-include as a relic in your army. Up next we have the Puretide Ingram Neurochip, which is fairly different than what it used to be in the past.
So it used to be whenever I spent CP or you spent CP, refunded on a 6, right?
Yep.
So now it's specifically tied to 2 types of stratagems, Epic Deeds and Battle Tactics, and it's going to refund a CP on a 3+, I believe.
Right. So that's actually kind of a huge deal, because when you look through the section of stratagems, that's pretty much half of all your stratagems give you the option to get refunded on a 3+.
I think most of the stratagems we just listed for you guys fall into those categories.
For the most part, yeah. Outside of a few war gear options, or war gear ones. But I also think this is really cool because GW has had all these different categories for a while now, but there's really never been anything to come of them. Now including Relic that specifically targets these type of things, I think that's a nice touch. And I have to give GW credit that they've incorporated a lot of cool things in this book that they've promised a while ago, and now they're just finally delivering on. So specifically for our beloved Borkhan concept, we have the Overdrive Power System Relic. Would you be able to pull that up and read that out for us?
I would love to. Alright guys, so this is going to go on a commander model. You're going to select 2 ranged weapons that commander is equipped with. Each time you make a ranged attack with one of those weapons within half range, you get +1 to wound. Pretty solid.
So you can go ahead and take your plasma rifles, make them wound pretty much everything in the game, at least on a 2. Knights, you're wounding on a 3. That's really, really strong, just picking 2 weapons. And you can do it with a whole bunch of different things. It doesn't have to be plasma. You want dual flamers to go ahead and do some stuff. It doesn't say that it doesn't work on prototype systems, which we'll cover in a little bit. It just increases your lethality exponentially. Lastly, for our section of relics, we've got the Talisman of Arthas Moloch, which is the Farsight Enclave specific relic.
So this is the only way in the entire codex for you to get a Psychic Deny. You get 1, and you get +1 to deny.
I wouldn't say this is necessarily a good relic.
But it's your only Psychic defense option.
It's the only thing, which I really wish GW would just give us a Psychic Auxiliary unit, even if it's just like Psychic Dampening Drones or something.
Well, didn't you see they did until they FAQ it? We're going to have, was it a Shadow?
A Harlequin detachment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably won't last too long. But, well, you can. Just throw some Harlequins in your army. So that covers the relics for us. And now we're going to push into signature systems. Signature systems are pretty much what the other armies have had, that you upgrade your models by paying points and power level. But I don't know who uses power level. But a lot of these are pretty cool. Some of them are kind of like I'll never use. Overall, how do you feel about them?
I feel like there's a lot of variety in there, a lot of cool tricks you can do, but I feel that they gave a nice little small buffs to the units you want to give these to. Because you can give them to Crisis Commanders, you can give them to Crisis Sergeants, and you can give them to Ghost Kills.
Ghost Kills. So you have a nice little spread where you can put these points into. And the way they work is they upgrade a weapon or something else that you've already purchased. Some of them you don't have to do that because you just pay the points and you have it. But specifically for the weapon upgrades, you have to purchase that weapon and you replace it with this one. So calling back to our Shaso Slapo, the Thermoneutronic Projector is probably by far my favorite signature system in this entire book. And
pretty spicy.
This is where he becomes a melee threat, and you throw this on an Enforcer commander who's already hard to kill, and now he's punching above his weight class in a lot of instances when you combine it with the Honor Gauntlet. And the way that this thing works is it replaces a Flamer. And Tau Flamers have gone up to D6 plus 2 number of shots. That's exactly how this is. It's Strength 4, AP 2, Damage 2. But the thing that makes this brutal, you get to get those D6 plus 2 attacks in melee on top of with shooting. So
additional attacks.
Additional attacks. So you get your 4 Honor Gauntlet punches and at least 3 more Flamer shots in combat. Now, some people might be, well, where's Fusion Blades? Those were really good before. They don't exist anymore. At least not until a supplement or an Army of Renown comes out. So this is pretty much your new Fusion Blades. And honestly, in my opinion, this is way better than Fusion Blades ever were.
Agreed. So basically, every weapon that you could take on a Crisis suit has a prototype system version.
Mm-hmm. My personal next favorite pick out of the weapon options is Resonator Warheads. And this replaces a missile pod that you have, and it increases it to Assault 3, Strength 8, AP 2, Damage 2, pretty sure. Mike will double check with that. But the main reason why I like this prototype system is the ability it has that a unit that gets hit by this halves their movement. And there's no other special specification on it. Doesn't matter if they fly like some other things have specified. If you hit a unit, their movement is reduced by half. That's a pretty good way to start slowing down melee armies who want to try and get to you. Those Slanesh demon rushes, anything like that, you just stop them dead in their tracks.
Assault 3, Strength 8, AP 2, Damage 2.
Now, calling back to the different relics, maybe in Borkhan you select that as an overdrive power system.
Yeah.
So now again you have a Strength 8 weapon that's getting +1 to wound. Next, the Nova Surge Plasma Rifle. It's an okay. It replaces a plasma rifle and it just makes it so that way it ignores invulnerable saves and it gets bumped up to AP4 instead of AP5 instead of AP4. So that essentially lets your commander or your crisis leader to be a character assassin. So that's just something nifty. It's a little cute, but it's meh. And then my last pick for something is well, I guess this was technically yours because it's all right. It's the Dominator Fragmentation Launcher.
So a lot of people don't care for leadership shenanigans. I don't know why they strike a chord with me. I like them. They're fun to use and abuse. So this is going to replace a Airburst Fragmentation Projector. And basically still be able to target units out of line of sight. Assault D6, Strength 5, AP 2, Damage 1. But if you hit a unit until the end of the turn, -4 leadership.
Yeah, I'm not sold on it. Like, I'd rather just take it for the bonus strength and AP. The morale thing is kind of like you'll make Gretchen auto fail, you'll make cultists it's whatever. Like,
it's not the best choice. I just for some reason like leadership shenanigans, which there is a stratagem in here to abuse it.
You can have it. Is there any other prototype systems that really spoke out to you? Like, some of these are okay. Some I'll never pick. Some of the cooler ones that could have been really good are limited by having to be close to people. And
Agreed.
It's not where I want to be for the most part. So is there anything else that really spoke out to you?
Not really. Not really.
All right. So pretty much the last section of the book that we would like to cover are the Warlord Traits. And I honestly don't think any of these Warlord Traits are very bad. Like, you can pick them, you can build around them, you can find use for them. A lot of the Sept ones are pretty okay. But my personal top pick out of all of these is Exemplar of the Kalyan. So you can have your Modka, and you can go and you can make out with Farsight in the corner, whatever you need to do, bud. But the Exemplar of the Kalyan, the way it works is, if you have selected the Modka tactic, you're allowed to redeploy one unit in your army. So that means you can, if you forward deploy Ghost Keels or Stealth Suits, you can pull them back to safety if you want. On top of that, you're allowed to put them into Strategic Reserve for free. So if you have a very valuable unit in your army that you want to protect, you just throw them into Strategic Reserve. And then with all the other shenanigans we have, you can just have them come right back on the table turn one. If you select Kalyan as your tactic, you can do this to 3 units. So personally, for me and the army that I'm looking to at least experiment with the triple Storm Surges, if I go first, great. I can probably move some other things around, maybe move 1 unit if I'm deciding to mod Ka, or if I'm going first and they've got a lot of firepower, Storm Surgers are just going to go hide. They'll be back later.
I'm going to go with Exemplar of Montka. So what this one does, if you picked Kalyan as your tactical philosophy, in your command phase, you get to pick 1 core unit within 9 inches. They just get to reroll wounds this turn. But if you pick Montka, you get to pick a unit within 12. Anything that's going to give one of our units full reroll to wounds, I'm all for.
My biggest issue with it is, again, the range restriction, that you pretty much either have to set this up to be a turn 2 use, or if you're dropping in from Manta Strike, you're still not going to be able to use it because you're selecting in the command phase. So a lot of units that really want this, you're not going to be able to really leverage it until turn 2 or 3. Now, when you do get to leverage it...
Disagree.
Okay, well...
Disagree.
It's okay to be wrong.
It is. So my thinking, guys, I'm looking at putting this on a 6-man unit of Crisis, turn 1. So we're going to move 10. We're going to advance, call it a 3, 13. Their guns that I'm going to put on them going to be at least 18-inch range. I'm going to be able to shoot something.
Or you do the 1 CP stratagem that you take a Crisis unit and auto-advance them 6 inches and ignore penalties to shoot.
Well, I'm playing Monka. I don't care about...
It's a part of the stratagem. I figured it was worth saying.
It is.
But that's a 16-inch move, so sure, I guess, to get within the 12 inches, that's...
18.
Oh.
18.
Yeah, 18 inches. So that's a 36-inch threat range, essentially.
Essentially, with guns that are going to ignore line of sight. So I don't care if you're hiding. I'm coming for you. Cobra Kai.
You might have sold me on it a little more, but still going to be a little sneaky McSneaker.
Well, what you could do, you can get a promising pupil in your army.
Oh,
Get an extra Warlord
take them
trait.
both. But still, I think if I'm going to promising pupil and get a second Warlord trait in my army, it's going to be Precision of the Hunter. This is probably my absolute favorite stratagem in the entire codex, or not stratagem, Warlord trait in the entire codex. Even more than Exemplar of the Callion, because that's just like a utility flex type ability. This one, you just throw this on a commander and they're going to murder anything they look at. And again, this just adds more lethality to Shasho Slappo. So the way this Warlord trait works is you get to re-roll all your hits and wounds. Doesn't matter if it's melee, doesn't matter if it's shooting. You now get to blast stuff on 2s, re-rolling your 1s, or whatever you need to do. Now you're in melee, hitting on 3s, re-rolling. And again, when you have those 4 or those 6 plus d6 attacks in melee with re-rolling the wounds, you're just going to start picking things up with that commander. And you don't have to do it on that one specifically. You can take it on a gunboat commander and just run around with any weapon loadout you want. Whatever he points at is going to die.
You know what he said in combat, right? See this? It's double-sided.
That's pretty good.
So my other pick for a Warlord trait that I think is going to see a lot of play or a lot of utility is going to be the Farsight Enclave specific one. And that's called, what's that called?
Master of the Killing Blow.
Master of the Killing Blow. So what this allows the commander to do is ignore any rule that would ignore or limit wounding. So feel no pains, gone. Satan, cap wounds in a phase, gone. I love it. I love it.
That's pretty good. One of the other signature systems you could take is a burst cannon upgrade that essentially does the same thing. Don't really rate it. It gets 8 shots, strength 6. This is probably the better way to do it because you just slap that on other higher damage guns.
Such as 3 plasma rifles.
If that tickles your fancy.
Oh, it does. It does.
Warms your heart?
It warms my heart to see Satan die from 1 round of shooting. You know what you did.
So my last top pick is, of course, going to be the Borkhan Warlord trait, which is Seeker of Perfection. Which, would you be able to pull that up for me, please? It's one of my favorite, but I don't remember it. Ha ha ha. No, it's pretty good. So, the way that this Warlord trait works is each time the Warlord makes a ranged attack, improve the armor penetration characteristic of the attack by 1, and an unmodified wound roll of 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage to a maximum of 3 mortal wounds per phase. So this is kind of like if you want to take a high rate of fire type of commander, because then you could just leverage the additional AP and the mortal wound output. It's just something nice that you can throw out there. I wouldn't necessarily take it all the time, but it gives you the option to add that much more damage on top of stuff. Flamers doing mortal wounds, burst cannons doing mortal wounds.
Now, let me ask you, because Shasho Slappo, his flamer that we love, says you get to make d6 plus 2 additional attacks with this weapon. There's no clause in there that says you can't make your 4 basic attacks with that weapon. Would you consider taking this instead of the Honor Gauntlet?
Well, this is a Warlord trait, so...
Oh, it is a Warlord trait.
So I would still probably prefer Precision of the Hunter.
Fair.
This is more so for a fire-based commander that zipping around, shooting stuff, because even if you take a bunch of missile pods, that's not bad. If you take the Resonator Warheads, you're slowing things down and picking up extra models. Anything to get around the added durability that people have, it's a win in my book. So, not something I would take all the time, but it's cute. I like cute things. Some kawaii stuff, whatever.
Anime missiles.
There you go. Now we're in the spirit of things.
Yeah.
But that covers all the Warlord traits that really speak out to us. And coming up next is going to be generally how we would try and pilot these armies, or maybe even some example armies that we're thinking about. So this is going to be a crash course overview of maybe some things that we want to include in our armies and test out, at least initially, because we're not geniuses, we're not experts. This is just going to be our testing bed, our start point for how we want to go ahead and play these armies.
You are experts.
No, I don't.
No. I lost 2 games at LVO. Not an expert.
With 8th edition Tau, Mike.
I didn't even play at LVO.
These guys are too humble.
No, man.
So we've got some launching ideas for how we want to initially build and play these armies. So kind of run through those and give you guys, the viewers, some ideas on what we're thinking and what we're going to try to accomplish with our lists.
Mm-hmm. So if you want to start off with yours.
Okay. So the basic structure of the first list I'm considering, it's going to be Farside Enclaves, no commanders. I'm going to take...
What?
Yeah, Farside Enclaves, no commanders.
How do you... They're about their commanders.
They are about their commanders. Not me, no commanders. Right. I am going to take 2 Cadre Fireblades, though. One of them is going to have Exemplar of Mon-Ka. And then I'm undecided on my relic right now. Probably take the Pure Tide Ingram Neurochip, just because I'm going to be using a lot of those epic deeds and battle tactic stratagems. I'm going to be taking the 30 Fire Warriors, 3 groups of 10, 3 Devilfish to put them in. I can put the Cadre Fireblades in those Devilfish as well, because they have transport capacity of 12. In case you wanted to have accompanying drones with those Fire Warrior teams. But I'm not doing that.
So aggressive. They're just drones, bro. Just calm down.
You're the one that said Cobra Kai. Get in their face, put them in a body bag.
You're right, but...
Leg sweep.
Yeah, you gotta sweep the leg, but...
Sweep the leg.
Jesus Christ.
So those are my my 3 troops. Obviously, this is going to be a battalion. So I'm also going to have 2 Tiger Sharks, all the guns, ion cannons, much love. And then I'm going to have a 3-man unit of stealth suits and a ion cannon toting Riptide. And that comes out to roughly 2,000 points, somewhere in there. Maybe a few points left over to mess around with some systems.
Nice. Now, is there anything that you particularly think you'll struggle with that list, or?
Obviously, this list is meant to go first. It can go second, depending on what I'm up against. If they've got a lot of anti-armor shooting and they're able to pick the correct targets. So in this case, those correct targets would be the Devilfish, limiting the movement of my troops. That could hinder my game plan. But other than that, I think all the vehicles have enough durability to make it through that first turn and get to where they need to be. So obviously the game plan with this guy is player place terrain. I'm going to set it up in such a way that I can close the firing lanes into my deployment zone as much as possible. The Devilfish fly, so they're going to be able to navigate terrain a little bit easier. They're going to take that 9-inch pregame move. We're going to be in Mon-Ka, Cobra Kai, sweep the leg, all the nonsense.
No mercy.
So we're going to employ that combat debarkation stratagem, assuming we're going first. Even if we're going second, we're going to hide. We're going to do it anyway. So we're going to go up another 12, disembark 9, something like that. If I can land the Devilfish on mid-board objectives, that's going to be the goal, to take those. Fire Warrior teams are going up. Going to have my command Devilfish doing its things, giving me reroll 1s. Cadre Fireblades guys are going to give an aura of pulse weapons, 6 to hit or an additional hit. So I'm throwing all that forward. Then I got the Tiger Sharks. Tiger Sharks are going balls deep, guys, going right in, all the guns. So if they get the updates that I'm assuming they're going to get, because all the guns on the Tiger Shark are in this book. The 2 ion cannons, 3d3 apiece, missile pods, cyclic ion blasters, the missile racks, all the AP. So I'm trying to make use of the +1 to hit on everything. So everything's hitting on 3s. The reroll 1s to wound from Mon-Ka, the +1 AP. If I've got a 2 to wound somewhere, I can use the 1 reroll from Farside Enclaves. But basically, I'm going all in with this strategy of Alpha Strike. I'm going to get enough units across the board, enough shots on the table to really limit what they're able to bring back to me.
Seems pretty solid. There's...
He studied it a bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, he's ready to go. Jesus.
Ha! Like a puppet.
So it seems like a pretty solid list. And it also sounds fun because you're doing the not typical Tau thing, and you're getting into someone's face aggressively, which matches Farsight Enclave pretty well. For me, by no means do I have any disillusion that this list is going to be great and win or be anything more than a gatekeeper. But a lot of people have already been talking about triple Storm Surge lists. So that's going to be the focus of this list. It's going to be Borkhan Sept, and it's going to have 3 Storm Surges with the Pulse Driver Cannon, so the big baddie. And
Pulse Blast Cannon.
Well, that one, yep. See, obviously this guy studies his list way more than me. So it's gonna have that, and it's gonna have each one of them will have the Airburst Fragmentation Projector. They're going to stand there on the line if it's safe, and they're just going to put out as much punishment as possible.
Drop anchors, make it hurt.
I don't think I will ever really be able to benefit from a turn 1 anchor drop, but being able to Montka, move in advance, and then set myself up for turn 2, I think that's the important play.
Yeah.
You can't hide because you have so many wounds. Things can hide from you, so you got to be able to get the angles to be efficient with all the death that can deal out. That's just half the army. It just comes in over a little more than 1,000 points for those 3 Storm Surges, which I think they probably a little too cheap, but we'll see how things shake out in the future. With the remaining points in my army, it's going to be 1 commander. It's going to be Shasho Slappo. He's going to have his 2 plasma rifles and the prototype flamethrower, the Honor Gauntlet. He's going to have Precision Hunter, and undecided on if I'm going to give him a 4th weapon or a shield generator, but at this point, considering I like the option of taking things off the board and putting it back on, I'll probably save it for a positional relay on the Enforcer Commander. And then the second HQ is going to go ahead and be my own Cadre Fireblade. He's going to have Promising Pupil, and he's going to have the Exemplar of Kalyan, and probably give him Orter's Lantern. If not that, probably the Pure Tide Ingram Neurochip. Undecided on those, because again, I'm not necessarily happy with the stationary aspect of his marker light capability, but we'll play around with it. Going down into troops, for right now it's going to be 2 strike teams and then 2 breacher teams. Breacher teams will probably get loaded up inside Devilfish. I'm surprisingly not taking any crisis suits in this list. I'm gonna rely heavily on the Storm Surges just to be swinging their big gun around all over the place.
Fair. I may be looking for 18 crisis suits for another list.
Oh, I honestly feel like that's too much.
No.
I feel like 10 to 15 is pretty solid. You go ahead. You take your whatever. Fast attack wise, I want to take 2 units of 2 Tetras. If those don't end up shaking out the way that we would like them to, those will probably just get replaced with an equivalent exchange of marker drones. That's pretty much it for the most part. That comes in around 2,000 points. I don't think I forgot anything in there. But
sounds pretty CP intensive. So you're going to start with...
I'm going to start with 4 CP.
4 CP.
4 CP. But the benefit of that list is anything I'm going to use is generally 1 turn of Ignore Invuls, maybe, just to try and dead something really good. And anything else is pretty much 1 CP. So as the game goes on, I just manage it myself. And it just rolls buckets of dice at you and tries to table you. Like, I can't necessarily say it'll play the mission very well at this point, but whatever walks out in front of the Storm Surges is probably going to die, and it will awkwardly swing the game in the late game as you just have nothing left to score. And those big boys will just walk up and stand where they need to stand.
And you really can't hide from them, because they've got enough out of line of sight shooting to be a problem.
Between the smart missile systems and the AFPs, they'll be able to reach out and touch stuff that's just trying to hide. It might take them a while to chew through everything, but if you walk out, you're definitely dead. If you hide, you're still going to get hit. And then those breacher teams, those fire warrior teams, they'll be pushing up and they'll be able to try and flush out anything. But that's my idea. Again, do I think it's going to win a GT or a major? Maybe with the right matchups, but it's a pretty solid gatekeeper. Keeps things simple. Game's over really quick. Pseudo knight style. We'll see how it goes. Probably one of the other things I'm worried about is things that I just can't kill fast enough with limiting wounds damage done to them. But that's about it.
You're not going to have too much problem with that, I don't think. Well, anyway, guys, excuse me. Thank you for tuning in for this video series. This has been our takes on the new Tau Codex. What's good, what's bad, what units we like, and kind of what we're thinking for our personal lists on how we're going to run this.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a thing or two. If you want more of this type of content, let us know down in the comments below. Again, subscribe, like, share it, talk about it with your grandma. I don't care, as long as you're talking about it.
See you next time, guys.